Hello to all of our All Emotion fans. I am your host, Jake Harrison. Welcome back to episode 8, part 2, Being Disciplined. I am very excited about part 2. Brennan works as a maintenance manager for Inch and Company Landscaping. Brennan is involved in a really cool program that I'm really excited to share with you all about. His company does to help foreign nationals seeking employment. That company and their mission is Amigos Labor Solution Incorporated. Their mission, Amigos, is a H-2B process, totally turnkey. Unlike others, we recognize your time is valuable and strive to make sure your involvement is minimal. With Amigos, there will be no travel to Mexico, no additional consulting fees, no hidden costs, no significant financial risk, and only minimal dealings with government agencies. Our customers are pleased with the dependable employees we provide them. The real service we offer is taking the headaches out of a very complicated process. The federal law that makes our service possible is called the H-2B program. It involves multiple government agencies, both here and abroad. The day to day details of the process are like a moving target, depending on who it is and what position, both in and out of the United States, and how they interpreting various rules and regulations. With our office in the U.S. and multiple processing locations in Mexico, we are able to keep up with every new wrinkle and provide a continuous flow of quality workers. Our primary goal is to offer our customers a turnkey service that is as painless as possible for them and is not complete until you have workers at your job site. And again, this is amigos-inc.com. I'm very excited. This is an awesome program. I believe personally a lot of companies need to adopt this. And I'll let Brennan get right into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, part 2, episode 8. This is Brennan. Thank you.
The government has a program in place. It's called there's a H2B, which is H2. I don't know what the H and the 2 is, but B is business, A is agriculture. We use the H2B visas, and those are our main mowing guys. And yeah, so we just you have to apply for the number of visas based off of how much you have to prove how much business you have.
So basically,
Like
revenue and cost, right?
Yeah, like how much business you have, and then you have to basically prove how many guys you're going to need to support that amount of business. And the initial process is pretty difficult because you really do have to prove what you have. I mean, you have to send them your contracts. You have to give estimated job hours, because the first thing they're going to do is say, well, there's plenty of labor in the United States for you to cover that. And the next step you have to do is put out newspaper advertisements that you have jobs available, and you have to notate what responses you get to that. So, for example, say every year we put out an ad, $20 an hour for a landscaping labor interview at this location at this time. No one ever shows up.
Wow.
So, based off of that, if you don't get any responses, so the point of that is if you would hire 3 guys off of that process, then they would decrease the number of visas that you could get. But we have in 10 years never got a single employee from that posting. And I think that's a huge reflection on where we are as a country in the labor market.
How does it work with housing where they stay and things of that nature?
So most of the guys, when they come up here, if they're working for another company, they have to source their own housing and transportation to the job. We provide housing and transportation. We buy cars and have them registered, insurance, and everything's taken care of for them. And we have 2 humongous farmhouses right now that the guys stay in. A lot of times they're have fairly poor living conditions when they come up here, but that's based off of the company, and we treat them with the most respect, because I mean, I've talked to the owners of the company many times and told them, these are my brothers, these are my best friends, and that's the truth. So we do everything we can, and I think we go above and beyond to make sure they're comfortable. Because, like I said, we do acknowledge that they are away from their family for that much time, and we really appreciate it. And we pay them. To be quite honest, I think there's a large misconception that workers that come from out of the country make less money, and that's just not true. We pay all of our visa workers the same wage or more than all the American workers.
Wow.
Because, to be quite frank, they produce 3 times more than someone that lives here. And that's just based off of where they come from. I mean, what they know, and the work ethic that they were taught as kids. I think we largely lose that in the United States today.
Mm. Yeah, that's awesome what you do. I think it's really like a you're giving back. Yeah. To people that really truly want to work. Not saying Americans don't want to work, but these are people from other countries that.
I'm very passionate about it. I mean, I have people come out at some of the contracts and say, they make comments about it, and I just simply say, if you want to only see a certain type of person on your property, skin color wise or ethnicity wise or whatever, then you need to hire somebody else, because these are my friends, these are my family. They're just as much family as the owners of the company, my own blood. I love them, and that usually shuts it down pretty quick.
That's awesome. No, it's amazing. Maybe hopefully you can be an example, even as a small business, to some bigger corporations in that type of that visa program.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
It's a great program. The only problem is that they need to expand the cap on the visas. It's ridiculously low.
Yeah. So, when things or times get difficult, how do you stay motivated?
So, in landscaping, it's really hard to get, and I don't mean to be harsh, but it's hard to get white guys or Americans or, I mean, we say widows, which is white boys, and anybody. Most of the guys that we have are visa workers, and they're coming up here from either Mexico or Guatemala on a work visa, and they are doing it. They come up here, they leave their families for 8 months, and after having a baby, I mean, after getting married alone, but then let alone having a child, thinking about leaving my family for 8 months to work blows my mind. And these guys have been doing a lot of our visa workers have been doing that for 10 to 12 years. So they've missed 8 months of their child's life for 10 years. So when I think about, you said
motivation.
Yeah. Right. What's my motivation when things get hard?
Yes.
That's pretty easy. I mean, I get to come home every day to see my baby. I get to come home every day to see my wife. These guys go home. They FaceTime at best, and they give me and myself and our company everything they have every day. They bust their hump and never blink. And this kind of goes back to what you asked me about, do I think discipline can be learned? And for the longest time, this was my main reason why I felt like it couldn't be learned, was because these guys come from an environment where if they have too nice of a truck, the cartel steals it. If they have too nice of a house, the cartel sees it. They come in, kidnap your family, and say, if you don't give us everything that you have, we're going to kill you, or we're going to kill them. So these guys come up here, and they work to make their family's life better and their own life better. And if that's not motivation, I don't know what is. Like, they show up every day. And I have a hard time getting people that live here to work more than a week. But my employees inspire me.
That's great.
Every day.
So
what else you got?
We're going right into it. Why do you feel like, you kind of talked about it a little bit, people get stuck and they can't get out of their own way?
talked about social media a little bit in the beginning. I really think it's ruined everyone into thinking there's this imaginary, easy, very easy path to success. And I feel like my wife would tell you that I'm always cynical and pessimistic, but I just know that what I've gotten, received, is earned, and I think that has been lost at some point. And I think people just get online and look at all these things, see these posts of these Rolls Royces and these mansions and stuff, and don't, the people never post their whole entire journey to get to that point. And there's a reason for that, because it's long and it's arduous and it's difficult. And I wish people would share that more instead of just like the flashy stuff. And I think people get in their own way because they pick, they're like sold a dream, but aren't told what it takes to get to that point. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would say that's the reason why a lot of people get stuck like in their own ways, because they believe in that. And the reality, they'll chase that for years, and not until halfway down the road do they realize like what the real path would have been.
Like this,
like
podcast, 21 years.
Yeah,
It took me 21 years. That's a long. 21 years is a long time.
This is a perfect example, right? Everyone talks about Joe Rogan, King of the Sting. There's tons of famous podcasts out there, right? But you're doing it the right way. There's a lot of people out there that start a YouTube channel. I did it. Start a YouTube channel, start a podcast, start a social media influencer account, and then think that things are just going to materialize. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this podcast is like, I see you, I see how excited you are about it. And I'm confident that you're ready to put in all the work because you know what it takes.
Yeah.
Your old school in your mentality of, that it's going to take work to get there. You drove up here. You're meeting with I don't know how many guests in PA. You're out of your element. You're doing what it takes. And I think a lot of people just don't quite realize what it's going to take. And when they hit that wall of realizing that, they turn around and go back.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's shout out to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Jake.
So if someone want to start a business, and you have being as we say in the military and the government, SME, SME, or as we say phonetically, Sierra Mike Echo, subject matter expert. I consider you that. It's a compliment. You're welcome. What would you say to someone that wanted? Because you know my seafood thing.
Yeah, I did. I heard about it.
He said I heard about it. Yeah. Well, it didn't work out so well. But I wanted to get your thoughts and take on if there was someone that wanted advice from someone professional and as we say in the government, in the military, a subject matter expert, wanted to go out there and start a business. What would your advice and feedback be to them? Thank you.
It's a great question, Jake. Failing. You're gonna fail.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
yeah.
But
yeah.
You know what happens when you work that pectoralis major, or that bicep, when you take it to the point of failure, you're reaching a point and you're forcing your body to learn that point. You have to do the same thing with your brain. So when you fail, it feels so bad. Like you feel so terrible about it. But in business, every day you're gonna fail, especially if you're going at it yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm talking about literally just you alone. You don't have a partner. You're gonna say, let's just say you're selling product. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is my release date. Priced everything wrong. Fail. All right, this is my release date. Distribution channels messed up. Fail. So, in and that's a very broad question. Like if you're going to start a business, because there's so, there's service business, there's sales, but there's so many. But I would say, just don't let that phase you. If you're gonna go at something full bore, full blown, balls to the wall, as my football coach would say, get ready to get your head taken off. But just make that mistake going 100 miles an hour and be able to recognize what you messed up. And that might sound more like a sports analogy than a business analogy, but it's the same thing. You study. Okay, so for a football game, you study film. You run the plays over and over and over and over and over all week long. You watch film. You do everything you can. Well, when you're preparing to start a business, like you look at what loans you need to take out. You look at all the capital you're going to need. You look at all the equipment you're going to need. And do you need an employee? Do you need vehicles? So on and so forth down the line. You do all this planning. You might get lucky and make it through the gate on your first pass. But most likely, and there are going to be roadblocks that either cause you to fail or cause you to get really close to failing. Don't blink at it. If you're going to make it, and if you're going to make it big to where you feel like you're a success, it's going to come with those. It's going to come with those slip-ups. You're going to be climbing the mountain, and you're going to slide back 10 feet. Every time you take one step, for every one step you make forward, you're going to feel like you slide 10 steps back. But when you finally get to the top, and I'm not sitting here saying that I'm at the top by any stretch of the imagination, not even close. But when you do get there, it's worth it.
Thank you for that.
One thing I would add to my response about the question you asked, which was
business. If someone want to start a business,
if somebody want to start a business, people, man, relationships. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You just got to figure out a way to be relatable, personable, and if you can do that, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what you're selling, honestly. For me and what I'm doing, if I can sell myself, the contract just comes right along with it. And I've had customers tell me, if you leave the company that you're with, tell me where you go, because I'm coming with you. They don't even care about the company, because I'm the face of the company to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a great point. And I'm sure if somebody listens to business podcasts every day, they're probably like, this is amateur stuff. But,
No, it's not.
I mean, it's real life. Like, it's just real life.
This is more important because it's down to the basics.
Yeah, I think you just hear from so many of the, what's that guy's name? You just hear from so many, like, quote unquote gurus, like these bigwigs that have been millionaires for the last 10 years, and they're doing stand-ups and they're doing seminars and stuff. And it's like they go over the same 10 points.
Tony Robbins.
Yes, and it's like, okay, but
I
want to hear from somebody that just made it over the hump.
I was listening to him 21 years ago. And my guest in North Carolina, we talk about him. When my mom sent me to boarding school. Yeah, that's when I first. It's so funny, and when I hear people talk about motivational speakers, I knew about this guy 21 years ago, when we just had tape decks. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't see. I mean, maybe even see. This 2000, the year 2000. So it was just interesting because everybody told me about it. I said, and then, back then there was no social media,
Yeah, but dude, that's why I'm so hype about this right now, is because the episodes I've listened to of your podcast, it's been it's like taking an oxygen mask and putting it over my face, because I've listened to, over the last 3 to 4 years, I've listened to numerous podcasts about business, being successful, so on and so forth. But it's always someone that claims to be somebody. You know what I mean? Somebody that has 2 million followers on this and 1 million followers on that. But I want to hear from the people like Juan. I want to hear from the people like, was it Jose?
Jose, yeah.
Jose. I want to hear from
Garrett,
real.
Katie, and we have a lot of people. Sergeant Martin yesterday just coming on.
No,
He
and
spoke this week. Yeah, Master Sergeant
and-
Martin this week for Veterans Day.
Yeah.
He just started his own business in Williamsport.
I'm sorry. I want to hear from people that are normal and are being successful.
So do you ever have bad days? And when you have them, how do you get through them? It's a question that's I am putting in all my episodes now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. Man, it used to be getting home to do the thing that I love to do, which for the longest time was working out with my wife, with my beautiful wife. We used to bodybuild, and I loved it. We loved it. I mean, we ate and worked out like it was going out of style. But since we had a kid, a little girl, Lena, she's 1 now, I just can't wait to see her face, man. Like, when I know that at 4:45 I gotta leave the office and I get to go see her, so most of my communities that I manage are 55 and over. And if you have any experience with individuals that are 55 and over and you're dealing with their landscape maintenance issues, you can't win. So I cut and run at 4:45, and I have to be there to pick her up at 5. And it's the best. When I see her, it's the best 2 minutes of my day. Like the first time she sees me and I see her, and she's got this huge open mouth smile on her face, and she says "Dada," like nothing else matters. Like it cuts everything out. And that answer to that question used to be a lot more complicated, but now it's just that. That's it. That's all I need, and that feels really good.
Brennan Inch, thank you so much for stopping by All in Motion. Sir, this was our first 2-part episode, and it was a success. I want to say that, man. It was amazing. I don't know if we could have done it, but you did it. I had a great time, man. It's all about having a great time. You really crushed discipline. You really, what you've been through, and you really brought it out. Tips, things that you've been through. So I just want to wish you and your family and Inch and Company Landscaping the best to come. Please be sure to follow All in Motion Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. You can also follow all of our content and episode as well at Linktree/All in Motion. That's Lima, India, November, Kilo, Tango, Romeo, .echo / All in Motion Podcast. I'm Jake Harrison from All in Motion. Thank you all so much. Take care. See you soon.